Here with A+, Avery Sparrow.
What's going on, man? What's going on, man? How's everything with you?
Man, I'm chilling. How you?
I can't complain, man. I'm back in the gym, doing my thing. Trying to get back in other groove of things. This go around, I'm actually fight at 126, my actual real weight, as opposed to fighting 30, 40, 35, 40, and out of my weight range. And I mean, I'm gonna take it serious and dedicate myself 100% back to boxing at the right weight. You know what I mean?
Wait, you've been fighting above your weight for how many years?
Long time. I fought Hank Lundy and 4 or 5 years ago. So that was my first fight at 35. And yeah, so I've been fighting for a long time above my weight.
Now you moved up because of opportunity, or moved up because?
I mean, when I was at 26 and 30, I was ranked number 6 in the WBO with 6 fights. So nobody would fight me. Nobody around that time. I think Jesse Magdaleno was world champion, and he had the WBO, I believe, and Dog Bay and those guys right there. Then nobody would give me an opportunity because I was so dangerous, and it was the risk reward factor was so low. It was like, why would I fight this kid with 7 fights, and he's ranked number 6 in the WBO, and he's good, and he actually can fight. So I was with Russell Pups at the time, and we had associations with Golden Boy and things like that. So they called me for fights and stuff like that, and I was sitting on the shelf for so long, I was like, man, whatever, I could beat these guys. So I just jumped up in weight. But when you
jumped up in weight and fought Hank fucking Lundy with like 7 fights? Right. Bro, you fucking insane. Yo.
So I mean, like, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. When you're hungry and you want it, I mean, you're sitting on the shelf, there's nothing else you could do. You just gotta take the opportunity that presents itself. And I never shied away. I was bred on old school boxing. I mean, you fight whoever they put in front of you. It was no promoters picking opponents and picking the right fights for you to get knockouts to build your record. I didn't come up in that era or have that luxury, so I had to fight who they put in front of me. And it got to a point where I was sitting on the shelf so long, I'm like, all right, come on, put them in whoever it is, 35, 30, 40, whatever. I mean, I'll beat them. And that's what it was. But when you get to a certain world-class level, them 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pounds, that matters, you know what I mean? So that's where my downfall was. And taking fights on short notice at a higher weight also played a big part.
The Rolly Romero fight.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's kind of missing in boxing? The guys deciding to lay it on the line? Do you think it's like a combination of both?
So I believe that in this era when Floyd was like the undefeated, everybody got caught up in the undefeated fighters and I want the undefeated record, and they negated that, dang, this guy was in a real fight. Because now you got issues like how you got Gay Rosado and Abner Mars on their show, and they're talking about Devin Haney and how boring the fight was and how horrible it was for boxing entertainment when those guys like Abner Mars and Rosado were just fighting whoever they put in front of them to make the sport and the fans have a good experience with boxing, as opposed to the athletes are just like, I'm worried about my bag, I'm worried about my legacy and all that, and being selfish to the sport of boxing, which was taken away from the sport. Now Turkish Al-Sheikh is coming along and putting the best fights together and is bringing back boxing, because now if you want that money, you don't have no choice but to fight the other guys in the division that people want to see you fight.
How do you find balance? Because a guy like you had a tough go of it, right? Mm-hmm. But then a boxing fan will look at you and call you a bum, call you a cab driver, call you a journeyman, but you took the risk. Yeah, you laid it on the line. So where's the balance between guys that take the risk but also being smart? Being smart about, okay, I'm gonna fight this guy right now, but then I'll wait a year to fight that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I understand completely what you're saying. So I mean, it's kind of difficult because you gotta know what type of fans you're appealing to. If you're appealing to the casual fans, then they're gonna say, "Oh, Ryan Garcia's the best," and they just go with the names. But if you really like deal with people like boxing and things like that, like when I have fights, like Andre Ward would be hitting Rail up and hitting people up because they knew the talent. Oh, he's fighting Rolly. You know what I mean? So they would inquire. The real people that knew boxing knew what they were looking at. So it's all about you as an individual, how you want to compartmentalize those scenarios where you're like, all right, cool. The average fan will say I'm a bum, but Andre Ward is still checking for me. You get what I'm saying? So it all depends on how you sleep at night. That's how I compartmentalize and I deal with that type of stuff, or that type of stereotypical aspect of the game to where people are passing judgment on the way you go about your career as opposed to another easy way you took, and it looks better on paper, but to the fans in the career it's like, and the people that really know boxing is like, you took the easy way out, and then you had your 17-0, but you fought 0-4, 1-15, all these guys, and then you fight 2 fights of actual fighters like Frank Martin, and when he finally gets to step up, now he's done. Who's Frank Martin? But all those other guys he was fighting, you really didn't know who they were. He wasn't taking no big risks. But then when he built his record up and they put him in front of a guy like Tank, that really is who he say he is, we see what happens. You know what I mean?
Now, you're a guy that never said no. Like I said, Hank Lundy, Orlando Romero, Abraham Nova, Matt Conway, Tevin Farmer.
Yeah.
I mean, your resume looks like guys that either main evented against a world champion,
Yeah.
or won a world title.
Right,
So,
right.
like, where did that mindset come from?
Like I said, I was like, right now, for me, I believe like the era where I came up in, like that was the last of a dying breed, because how everything was structured. Like when I was coming up, you had to win in Philadelphia, you had to win in PA, you had to win in the East Coast, and then you got to advance to nationals. Now the kids right now, if you have the money, you can go pay and get on a flight, and you're at the nationals. So the level of competition is way smaller, and the journey you have to get is way smaller because just on the way boxing is structured now, you know what I mean? So I felt like I was the last of a dying breed, and it was like whoever they put in front of you, that's who you fight. You don't get to say, oh, he's a puncher, we'll wait until we get more experience to fight him. And when I was coming up, those luxuries weren't really available. You had Top Rank, you had Golden Boy. You had Showtime, you had HBO. Or on the lower level, you had Friday Night Fights, ESPN. It really wasn't too many platforms to display your talent. Now you got DAZN, ESPN Plus, MVP got a thing, Overtime Boxing, all these avenues.
Pro Box,
all these avenues to display certain talents. So he might not be that good, but he's getting exposure and somebody likes him. So he has the luxury because he's selling tickets, and he has fans because he had the exposure because the different platforms. So he has the luxury like a Ryan Garcia to say, hey, I really probably can't fight, but I got a following, so you have to pay me X amount of dollars because I'm bringing these many people to the event. So now it became more geared towards the backing, the media, and the following, as opposed to that guy's really talented. We're going to push him and back him in that aspect.
Hey, you say my day and back in my day, and you're only 31.
I mean, I mean, because of the era that I came up in, you know what I mean? So, like, I looked up the guys.
I don't think people realize that you still, like, in your prime.
Yeah, right. So I came up with the guys like Anthony Thompson, like Boots' older brother, Pooh Ennis and Farouk Ennis, and all these guys. That's who I'm looking at in the gym. Like, those guys are fighting Pooh. I mean, I remember Pooh Ennis fought Gabe Rosado in a bomb burner. I think they dropped each other and at the Blue Horizon. Yeah. And those are two world-class fighters right now. You would never get that ever in this era where two world-class, like, great fighters fought and at that early age. You know what I mean? To where it's like, wow. And they both go on to do big things and do things in boxing. You don't have that no more because these fighters are protected. So I didn't get that model. I didn't have that outlook when I was looking at boxing. When I said, hey, I want to turn pro, I want to go to the Olympics, I want to win at nationals. Those weren't those dynamics that I had to look at. They weren't there. I had these dynamics to where if you want to go get signed to Golden Boy, you had to win the World Games and go to the Olympics and do all this extraordinary stuff. Now you can hit up Eddie Hearn on Instagram and say, hey Eddie, I can fight. If you got 100,000 followers and you can bring so $50,000 worth of tickets, he'll sign you if you can fight a little bit. You don't have to be great. Before, you had to be really good, and you really had to be able to fight to get this exposure and get to where you had to be. So it was just what I saw coming up. That's why I say like back in my day, because like the whole dynamics changed in boxing. You know what I mean?